Did you know that according to the Bible, Solomon had 700 wives and 300 concubines? That's more than 1,000 women in all, and today we're gonna find out why. Welcome back to another episode of our series where we break down and discuss the most craziest, weirdest, and sometimes pretty messed up stories from the Bible. Now, before we get into this episode, make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes when they come out. Also, we're getting really close to 100,000 subscribers. We're only about 20,000 away. So if you could help us reach that goal, that would be amazing. Alright, so like I said in the intro, today we're gonna be discussing the story of Solomon and his wives and concubines. According to 1 Kings, chapter 11, verse 300, it says that at the time when Solomon was old, his wives turned his heart after other gods, and his heart was not right before the Lord his God as the heart of David his father. For even he went a-whoring after the gods of his own people, and he worshipped them, and he made for himself high places in Jerusalem on the hill of Ophel, which is one of the hills that's around Jerusalem. And he built an altar there for burning incense, and made offerings, and also offered sacrifices. So basically, what this passage is telling us is that Solomon got old, and then his wives caused him to start worshipping other gods besides the Lord. Now the thing with this story is that we actually don't know exactly how many wives and concubines Solomon actually had. The author of 1 Kings just gives us two numbers, 700 and 300. It doesn't actually say that Solomon had these women. It just says that he had some wives and they turned his heart. Then it goes on to describe how Solomon started worshiping other gods. So the actual number of wives and concubines that Solomon had is kind of up for debate. Now, I did some research and I found that in some versions of the Bible, the word wife is actually pluralized, meaning that the actual number of women that Solomon had is closer to 1,000. Now keep in mind, this is just in some translations, not all. But either way, whether Solomon had 1,000 women, 700 women, or however many women he had, still does not excuse the fact that he took multiple women when he already had a wife. Now, I know what some of you guys are probably thinking. Wait a second, didn't God tell Abraham to take multiple wives? Well, yes, he did. God told Abraham to take wives for Isaac and for Ishmael, but it was because they were in a very unique situation. God said to Abraham, "Take for him wives from among the daughters of Canaan, for the Canaanite women were the daughters of the soil, and all the women of Abraham's household." His relatives who were born in his own household, his natural-born sons and his natural-born grandsons, all of them were born in the land of Canaan. Now, the reason God told Abraham to take wives from among the daughters of Canaan was because he wanted the Israelites to be able to populate and replenish the earth. God wanted his people to multiply and fill the earth, as it says in Genesis chapter 1, verse 28. Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and everything that moves on the earth. This was the reason why Abraham had multiple wives, and why Jacob had multiple wives. But Solomon wasn't called by God to do anything. He didn't have a special assignment. He didn't need to have multiple wives for any of his descendants to carry on God's plan. He just had multiple wives because he wanted them. In conclusion, having multiple wives and concubines was completely unnecessary for Solomon. And although it was never explicitly stated why Solomon had 700 wives and 300 concubines, it's safe to assume that Solomon had these women for only one reason, and that was because he wanted them. But now I want to hear from you guys. What do you think was the reason Solomon had so many women? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Also, make sure you go ahead and hit that like button if you enjoyed this episode. And with that being said, until next time, I'll see you guys later. Bye.